Howdy, I'm CyberX with Wonderfully Crawled. And today we're going to be talking about LODs going entity to particle to entity. And yes, this is going to make your life better, going to make your landscapes look beautiful, bring life to your world you've never had before. Yeah! So let's get into it. Here we go. We got these entities. This is just an NPC. You can see it right there. And watch this. We're going to go boom. And we're going to keep flying away. And all of a sudden, the entities are going to disappear. And particles are going to replace them. And that allows us to continue to render them all the way to the end of the render distance. Yeah, we can just go as far as you want, as your device will be able to go, and they will continue to render and render and render. And then when you come back, you can actually see the windmills are particles as well. So see these windmills, those are entities. And what we're doing here is we're just having that entity tick in the background. And that ticking allows it to continue to do stuff. And then when we get close, it's just going to check and say, hey, we're close. And then it's going to remove the particle and go back to the entity. Now, the reason why you can clean this up so that the player can't see it as much, but the player's not normally flying, right? We're going really fast. So if instead you're walking at a normal speed or running, you should be able to get this to where it's not nearly as noticeable to the player. This is just the first gen, but you can see as we're just walking, and especially if this is just built into your normal life where the player doesn't really know it's there, it just kind of happens. You can see as we're walking, it's just popping and converting, and we can clean this up. You can see the particle doesn't even match the entity right now, but it's just the easiest way I could do it and show it at an easy distance to get this tech out there. So let's run over and jump over and look at the windmills real quick. So the same thing. So we've got a windmill. The windmill is doing its particles right now. We get closer, and there we go. Now we've got the entity showing up, the entity spinning, and the particle is going to finally go away at some point. This one's a little bit longer because I'm trying to get this rotation, and it's hard to do the math on playing the animation for less than a second and getting a good rotation. That's why it's going so fast. But you can see the entity's now kicked in, and same thing. If we start flying backwards, the particle will kick in, the entity disappears. So that's what we're doing right now. So let's jump over into the code and see how this works. So the secret here is nothing new to all of you that watched guides before. What are we doing? We're just doing a BPAC inside the brain of the NPC or the entity. So in the NPC entity, we have a BPAC, and it's just running. And we've also added tick world never despawn. And all that does is when the entity isn't visible, its logic is still running. So this is still going to be running, which just enables that particle to run. So we run over. Well, I just closed it. I didn't want to close it. So if we look in here, all we're really doing is we've got this guy going to the BPAC. So now let's go to our BPAC. The BPAC just has the loop running with a timer, and the timer is what's doing the whole when it shows up and how often it checks to see where the player is. So right now I think I've got this running timers. I don't even see it in there. It's in there, but oh, there it is. So I've got it set to 1 second. So every second this is checking and running this function. Let's jump over the function. The function is simply saying execute unless entity at player is less than 50 or 50 blocks away. Run this particle. So if the player is closer, oh, that was horrible zoom. If the player is closer, this zoom feature is like just ridiculously bad. If the player is closer than the 50, then run the particle. And since we're saying the nearest player, then this should work for multiplayer, because if any player is close, then it'll just go to the regular and then the particle will shut off. So you might have to change this for multiplayer or co-op. I haven't tested it for that at this point. And then for the windmill, same thing, BPAC just goes into the windmill. And the windmill, I have two of them, one on each side. And so it's just playing two particles in that situation. And I kid you not, that's it. That's all there is to it. That is the LOD system. And that's really quick. What's LOD? So LOD is level of detail. And all that means is in normal traditional game engines, when you zoom out of something, the detail drops. So when I'm really close, I've got a LOD that's the best quality, and as I zoom out, it drops. And Minecraft uses that. The problem is they don't care if things pop in and out. And most game engines in 2023 really care about popping. Popping is just the sign of jank. And so one of my goals is to stop all of this popping. It just shouldn't happen. Another place where that happens is when you're using alpha blocks. And so one of the things that we have to do is in custom blocks, we need to mix the blend and the alpha textures together to get to the point where, see how the side blocks are now starting to pop. If you didn't have a blend texture in there facing up, then the entire block would disappear and it would just be grass. And I mean, look how janky that looks. If you're flying a plane or you're flying a dragon or you're doing whatever, this is what you're seeing when you're flying overhead, and it just looks so bad. And so those are the type of things that the LOD systems that we're trying to put in are trying to help fix and mitigate, so that when you're looking at something or an animal or a ship or a boat and you get further away, it just doesn't disappear. That's ridiculous that something pops in and out of a game engine in 2023. Even Minecraft, even more in Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft is the lowest level of demand on a system. It should have the best ability to not have jank. And yet, it just doesn't seem to be a priority. So, as you make add-ons and you do stuff, this is one of the things that you're going to run into a lot. Is you're going to want these entities, you're going to want trees, you're going to want all of those things in the distance to show in the distance and not disappear and pop and do all of that stuff. And so this is one of those ways. With this one simple execute command, we can now say, well, let's at least try to represent fake. And fake's okay. Most of game development is just faking stuff. So using particles, it's a simple way to do this. Now, someone asked, well, what if I want to animate this? Most of the time, you're not going to need to animate a particle that's more than 50 blocks away, because the player's not even going to see it. But if you wanted to, all you're going to do is take this entity, go into blockbench, make a GIF of the animation you want, and then you're just going to make that GIF, which is a video, into an atlas and put that in into Snowstorm, and just play a particle video. That's no big deal. And that's actually what we're doing here for the grass. So the grass has the same thing. When I stand still, it starts spawning grass, or in this case it's corn, and the corn is just playing a video as a particle, and that's animation. And so that just solves the problem of having animated grass by using a particle effect instead. And you can play different ones for different areas. So we could have wheat for the wheat fields, and we can have corn for the corn fields. And this just allows us to add that movement and that living world to Minecraft that's missing. Everything is so static and stale. There's no life. It's not a living world, and that's what you need to bring immersiveness to a game, is a living, active, moving, alive world. And that's what I'm trying to bring here with these type of things. And boy, Mojang isn't making it easy. Not being able to run particles from a block, not being able to do anything block-centric, forcing us to use APIs, which even now can't do any of this stuff, and it probably won't make it easy to do this. It's going to make it a lot harder. But yeah, these are basic things that Java can do, and in every other game you open today in 2023, you expect to have animated grass and reactive grass and things that move and LOD systems that work properly and things that react to the player without a crazy amount of scripting and APIs and bullshit. These should be simple components that when you get too far away from something, the LOD system kicks in and plays a particle or converts it over to keep it looking beautiful. That's what we'd expect in a game system. So that's me giving another rant of indie game development. I'm old, you know. But here we go. This is how we did it back in the 2000s and the 90s in the old school game engine days. We would fake it with particles, and so that's what we're doing today in Minecraft now. So there you go. I'm CyberAxe with a wondrously crafted. And this has been a guide on how to do these fancy things and LODs and converting entities to particles and particles to entities at distance so you can make your games look like fire. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you like it, I could always use that encouragement. There's a lot of disencouragement out there, so any encouragement, you guys always welcome. Thanks for watching.